The Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. Today we are moving through lesson 63 in A Course in Miracles, and I'm just going to do a quick review of the preceding lessons. We are going to start with lesson 36. My holiness envelops everything I see. Lesson 37. My holiness blesses the world. Lesson 38. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. Lesson 39. My holiness is my salvation. Lesson 40. I am blessed as a son of God. Lesson 41. God goes with me wherever I go. Lesson 42. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Lesson 43. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Lesson 44. God is the light in which I see. Lesson 45, God is the mind with which I think. Lesson 46, God is the love in which I trust. Lesson 47, God is the strength in which I fear, in which I trust. So God is the love in which I forgive is lesson 46. Lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. Lesson 48, there is nothing to fear. Lesson 49, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God. And then we jump down to lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Lesson 62, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And today's lesson 63, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. How holy are you who have come? How holy are you who have the power to bring peace to every mind? How blessed are you who can learn to recognize the means for letting this be done through you? What purpose could you have that would bring you a greater happiness? You are indeed the light of the world with such a function. The Son of God looks to you for his redemption. It is yours to give him, for it belongs to you. Accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in its place, or you will forget your function and leave the Son of God in hell. This is no idle request that is being asked of you. You are being asked to accept salvation that it may be yours to give. Recognizing the importance of this function, you will be happy to remember it very often today. We will begin the day by acknowledging it and close the day with the thought of it in our awareness. And throughout the day, we will repeat this as often as we can. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. I am the means God has appointed for the salvation of the world. If you close your eyes, you will probably find it easier to let the related thoughts come to you in the minute or two you should devote to considering this. Do not, however, wait for such an opportunity. No chance should be lost for reinforcing today's idea. Remember that God's Son looks to you for his salvation, and who but yourself must be his son? There's a lot here. And even as I'm reading it, there's truths that I resonate with, and there's some things in here that I don't necessarily. So I want to start with what I do resonate with and what does feel like, we talk here on the Knowing Show, a capital T truth, which is, straight from God's heart. And the power that being the light of the world has, which is to bring peace. It's really, really interesting. Every single one of us has a presence that we bring in a room, in the environment in which we find ourselves. It's like ushering in a presence whenever we walk in. And that's exactly how it should be. I for those of you who don't know, I have a branding and marketing business, and it overlaps in every single area of life. A strong brand is what you and I both have if we're aware of who we are, if we're cultivating who we are, and if we are actually functioning as the light of the world. We are a strong brand. We have a demarcation in our presence and in who we are, which means that we're going to have people that are attracted to us because of who we are. And we also have people who are going to be repelled. If we were not a strong brand, if we weren't the light of the world, then we would probably just fit in and not have any kind of demarcating, which means basically demarcation is like coming in and causing a line in the sand. It's like causing a division where people are like, okay, I effectively have to choose. I have to make a decision. David Goggins talks about this. For those of you who don't know David Goggins, he's this ultra marathoner, but also former Navy SEAL, just like the founder of the concept of do hard things in so many ways. You know, he didn't even train, and then he went and ran 100 miles in a day, and just insane, rather insane what he's done. But what he says, I really, really think is for each one of us this morning. He says, I would rather not be liked, but have my presence and who I am cause somebody to effectively leave being with me and say, okay, I have to change. Because he lives with such a high standard. He effectively, his presence causes people to kind of rise up and meet him where he's at. And so the question I have for each one of us today is, what does our presence bring? How does it counter the status quo? How does it call people forth to be better? Last night we talked about kind of the best version of ourselves and how to walk in our identity. And so when we think about identity, we've got the identity that is the Son of God, that God has given every single one of us. And then we've got the identity that is very unique to how he made you and I personally. We're so different from each other, and what a blessing that is. But it's the identity with which God gives every single one of us that brings such unity among us. And so we're talking about that specific identity this morning, but the manifestation of it is going to look very different. We're talking about the identity that God gives every single one of us, but the identity manifestation is going to be tailored and kind of curtailed through our individual personality and manifestation of kind of that second half of identity. Who did God make you and I to be in a very individualistic way? And so then it's, man, now the presence of God can be brought to multiple different people in multiple different ways because of each one of us and kind of the individual identity that we all possess. And so this concept, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. We talked yesterday about how forgiveness is kind of like the unlock. It's the unlock from the chains of the past that can keep us from moving forward. You know, if we're the light of the world, but we're stuck in one place because we can't move, because we're tethered to the person that we are like holding, you know, around their neck and saying, pay me what you owe me, we haven't forgiven them. Well, then we're not going to be able to move forward and bring light to other people in different rooms, in different places. And so the more we're able to really experience forgiveness, that does not mean justice is not served. But what it does mean is that they no longer have power over us. We're no longer tethered to them, whether it's a person, an experience, even ourselves. You know, the lack of forgiveness we can exhibit towards ourselves can be pretty significant. So once we experience forgiveness, now our light is free to move, and we're also free to bring peace to more people, because peace is like on the other side of presence. The presence that we bring into a room, there should be a molecular change that really brings peace to each individual that encounters us. Just jumping in here in the chat. Good morning, Bathai Kuth. Good to see you. Wick, hello. Sending big hugs. Wayne says, I just sneezed like 12 times. I thought I was going to die. God bless me. God bless you, Wayne. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Michael, good to see you. He said, why does everyone have to come on here and just talk about Jesus? There's other things in life going on, you know. I completely agree. So much of what we talk about here on the Knowing Show is both the principle and the practice of the human intelligence. This morning's show was very much so about spiritual intelligence and cultivating effectively our spirit and also the cognitive mind. Because here's the thing, I've experienced this so often in the church where people are very underdeveloped in the cognitive, intellectual, or emotional, but very, very spiritual. And my dad actually said this comment years ago. He was like, they're so heavenly minded, they're of no earthly good. And that is not how we want to live. That is not at all how it was mirrored or modeled for us anyways. So this this working in this morning show is really about kind of working, how do we maintain alignment with who God says that we are, but how do we practically live that out? How do we actually translate this beautiful divine knowledge of who God is and practically execute it in our lives today? And how do we also allow for that truth to reprogram the things that we were taught as kids that frankly were really damaging and really hurtful, that are still very real to us today? So we have to proactively go and kind of reprogram our minds and hearts with the truth. And so that's what we're doing here on the show. Ruben, good morning. I'm so glad to see you. Yeah, he says, wishing peace around the world. A lot of fires out there. So true. Raven, don't judge if I'm vegan. Good morning. I'm glad you're here. Some guy. Oh, what an interesting question. Some guy, I want to come back to that. He says, what can dudes do to gain confidence? And frankly, I think that that's a question for the evening knowing show. I'd love to bring that up, because there's a lot of folks who come on the knowing show in the evenings, and there's a lot of solid guys on there who I think would offer some really good feedback. But I want to come back to that. I'm just going to keep reading through the chats. Wayne, love David Goggins. Me too. Raven says, I totally agree. Wayne, the past is over. It's not happening anymore. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's where we need to move forward. That's why if we're tied and tethered to the past because of anger or bitterness or just unforgiveness, we cannot move forward into the future. Pierre, hello. Good to see you. Bank Top. I don't remember that, but I'm glad you're here. Eagles, hello. I agree. Marty Jr., Christine, I'm spiritually bankrupt. Suggestions, maybe engage with a like-minded community. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the more we can spend time around people who are like who we want to be, I think the better. And I think those people can take the form in a podcast, in a book, here digitally. The digital communities are really, really powerful. And the more that you also are doing the work, we don't want to outsource the change that we need. I like to think of it as kind of like we've got this electrical plug and we're like looking around for where to plug it in. Plugging it into a community is great. And also, if anything goes wrong, we're going to be left feeling betrayed and abandoned. And it's just a lot of stock to put in one place. Whereas if you and I have done the work to really cultivate who we are, then effectively we can turn that electrical plug inward and actually get to know and be sourced by who God created us to be, but also by God himself. And that is such a safe and secure place to be sourced. I was writing, I'm doing my copy edits for Knowing this week, and that my book. And, I was writing about that yesterday. The goal is that we are able to be internally sourced for the purpose of being able to be reliable and not have a source or an outlet that we're plugged into that could leave. And they could leave not even by their own decision. Like my sister's husband was killed. And so if she had been plugged into him as her source, which a lot of couples are, they're totally dependent on their partner. Then what happens when tragedy strikes? So the more we're actually able to be internally sourced, but with us and God being, co-creators in our lives, and we're really partnering with him, then there's a stability there. There's a peace there. And there's also an element where we will always be satisfied and always be sustained. And so there's a lot more that comes on the other side of that. But yeah, I think if you're feeling that spiritual bankruptcy, man, the first part is acknowledging it. And I would even encourage you to, Marty, I thank you for sharing that. I would encourage you to trace the roots. Where did it start? Why did it start? What happened? And see if there's anything there that needs to be kind of cared for and tended to. Because sometimes we can realize, oh, this is what I'm dealing with today. But where did it actually start? And sometimes if we deal with the root issue, there's a lot of healing that can come from that. Wayne, reprogramming your mind and heart with the truth. I love that. James B, we don't talk like that, but I'm happy you're here. So feel free to stick around if you still are. Lied T, good morning. Wayne, change the story you're telling yourself because it's probably not true. So good. And that's part of being conscious around what are the narratives, what are the programs that we have running in our mind, and then examining them. Which ones are true? Which ones are actually going to help me get to where I feel called to go? Rambo, good morning. Brian, good to see you. Good morning. Marty. He said, that being said, what's up? 1 a.m. Oh, he says, I'm not sincere. Oh, okay. Wayne, I prayed for you. Thank you. Oh, I'm so grateful for that, Wayne. Seriously, thank you. Shoe Poppy, good morning. Josh Wim, we here on the Knowing Show, we're not affiliated with any kind of, I mean, honestly, he says, what cult are you from? We're from no cult. We're just here sharing what's been resonating with us and seeking to grow. Advent, hello, good morning. Richard, Marty, would you pray for me? I think you're saying, would you pray for me? I would love to pray for you. Actually, we're going to end this book, I just saw Janice said, reading more to finish a book. And so I said, book. We're going to finish this show with just some prayers. So I would love to pray for anybody who has prayer requests. But I want to jump back up to some guy says, what can dudes do to gain confidence? And I'm not a man, so I can't answer this probably as well as other men, but I will say what is meaningful as a woman. I think the more that a man knows who he is, the more a man has done the work to not just know who he is, but also where he's going. He's got vision in his life. I think that alone gives confidence. You know who you are, whose you are. So also like, where's your strength and support in addition to like, I belong to God. That's really powerful. Like knowing your identity, but then also knowing where you're going. Having a clear vision for your life, man, there's nothing sexier to a woman than a man with a vision. And here's the thing, women, I think, frankly, I just have heard more and more from folks in the community about how women are getting a bad rap, which I'm not denying it. But women are being really rough on men and like not appreciating real gentlemen. And the whole feminist movement, I think, has really, really kind of it's caused a blow to kind of the masculine in a way, which is so devastating. And underneath the feminist movement, underneath for these women, either is a lot of pain that they experienced in childhood. It's either a lot of fear over not having control, over being taken advantage of, over not being treated with respect. And at the end of the day, we really, really want a man with a vision. I've experienced it. I've experienced when I'm with men who know where they're going and who have a mission in their life, my natural inclination is, how can I help you? It's like, that's so often that's how women were made in so many ways, was to be a nurturer, was to be a caregiver. And yes, I actually do feel like I've got a big mission of my own. But even with my darling, we both have big missions. And I feel so called to help him and support him. But if he was there sitting and kind of twiddling his thumbs and waiting for a woman to come in who had a mission to follow, I think that can be really disruptive to the relationship and even to the order of how it's supposed to be. Because if the woman is called just naturally, biologically, in terms of bearing children, I know that there's wonderful stay-at-home dads, and I know that all of that is now incorporated with today's society. But if a man is passionate about raising his children and passionate about leading the home and passionate about whatever he's doing, become a man with purpose is what I would say. And the confidence follows, because now you're focused on your calling and now you're focused on your mission, powered by your identity. A man with a purpose is so, man, it's like intoxicating. I want to follow you. I believe in you. Tell me what you're doing and where you're going, and I'm there. And I would really, really encourage you, if anyone, so for you who asked some guy, how does a man gain confidence? Become a man with a purpose. And read Jordan Peterson. I think that would be encouraging too. His old stuff, 12 Rules for Life. He has just a lot of these little mantras that are so good. Like, rather than, if you don't know what your calling is, if you don't know what your purpose is, just go clean your room. Get your life in order. Don't sit and wait for some big revelation. Just start moving. Do the next right thing. All right, jumping back. And I hope that was encouraging. And I'd love to hear anyone else's encouragement or advice around, how can a man gain confidence? Because I'm not a man and I would love to learn myself. Just looking here in the chat. Power versus Force, David Hawkins. I highly recommend everybody read it. Wayne, I have not read that. My darling read it and loved it. I read Letting Go. Actually, I'm still reading Letting Go, and that has changed my life. So I need to read that. Mac, hello. Grace and peace be multiplied through our Lord Jesus Christ. First Peter. Thank you for sharing. Or Second Peter. I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you. 2 Glock. Hello, Todd. All right, James, we are putting you on timeout. I'm sorry for that. Feel free. I mean, anytime you want to engage for real, I would love that. I had a dream I was flying. I woke up and I was a completely different person. How can you explain this? I don't know. Anthony, Ruben, absolutely. When life comes from you, not at you. Word. I think that you're talking about the hooked up to an electrical socket. I don't know if that's exactly where or the timing of that, but when life comes from you, not at you. I love that. Vic, thoughts on feminism? I think most anything that comes in and divides needs to be questioned. And that doesn't mean it shouldn't happen, but I think anything that is that loud, anything that is that divisive should be examined, and just ask why, and do the work to really examine who are the voices, what's really the message, what's the impact. Look at the impact of something, look at the outcomes. And I haven't seen great outcomes in certain ways. I think there's a lot to be said for the pros and cons, like the pros of bringing equality. Fairness actually really is a value for me. So if I'm doing the same job as somebody else and they're getting paid more just because of their gender, I don't like that. But if they're getting paid more because they're better than me, great. That is exactly how it should work. And I should get paid more if I'm better than them. So it's all about looking at the heart of the issue. And I think that there's just been a lot of loud voices and not a lot of impact as a result. And I think it's brought a lot of divisiveness, and it's really squashed the proper and appropriate gentlemanly masculine. And so seeing that outcome makes me question over the integrity of the movement. That's what I would say. I think that there's a lot more to it if we were to really open that can of worms. Wayne, having a clear vision for your life. Yeah. Stephen, aloha from Hawaii. Mac, Proverbs 18:2. A fool hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. What a beautiful, beautiful verse. Stephen, amen. Advent, unbreakable will make a man sexiest. I don't know if that's a book or just kind of a concept of being unbreakable. All right, I'm just scrolling down. All right. All right. I am mom chilling. I'm sorry, you got to block you. All right. I also learned a lot from Dr. Jordan Peterson. Maybe men be passionate about going to work to take care of your family. Just start somewhere. Oh, I love that. Steven says, men, be passionate about going to work to take care of your family. Just start somewhere. So good. Michael Grimes, American is missing the term and condition of the Bible itself. Wayne says, please don't apologize for putting idiots on timeout. Thank you, Wayne. I love you. Scott, thank you. A dog says, you have a thick accent. Interesting. Wayne says, question everything. I love it. Oh my gosh. Ew. I'm sorry I didn't catch this person in the chat sooner, guys. Disgusting. Steven, sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do in order to do what you really want to do. It's like literally the discipline of the thing. Official fan says, can of worms, no, don't open it. So good. Oh, wow. Ben says, please pray for my girlfriend. She has pancreatic cancer, and today she's going to see the doctor if it's spread. Whoa. Chills all over. Wow. Well, y'all, this is a good time for us to just kind of close out. And I'd love to pray. Ben, I'd love to pray for your girlfriend. If you're willing, I'd love to know her name so I can pray for her by name. Ray, good to see you. Deuces, hello. I'm so glad you guys are here. David, I don't really know what you're getting at, David, but I'm glad you're here. And I just want to acknowledge you. All right, let's go ahead and pause and just pray and bless today. If anybody has prayer requests, I'd love to pray beyond Ben. 2 Glock says, have your children been baptized? I don't have any babies, but hopefully one day. Fine gentlemen, good morning. And Andre, good to see you. Good morning from Mexico. All right, y'all, I'm gonna pray for us. Russell Payne says, good morning. What's his channel? Russell, the Knowing Show is really dedicated to cultivating you and me. It's cultivating the human intelligence. There's so much obsession around AI, the artificial intelligence. And so we're really focusing on what makes us human and cultivating those intelligences, like intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual and physical intelligence. And the morning show, we go live 2 times a day at least. And the morning show, we talk about cultivating spiritual intelligence and the intellectual intelligence. Sender V, good morning. Oh, everybody's hopping on. I feel sad leaving. Melissa, all right. Ben says her name is Christina. All right, y'all, I'm going to say a prayer. I'm going to say a prayer and just... There's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot happening, and I think that we could all use peace. Yeah, Ruben says prayers for the war around the world. All right, let's go ahead and pray. Father, I just first, God, I pray for Ben, who really is in this position of caring for his girlfriend, Christina, who needs to go just see if her pancreatic cancer is spread. God, what a hard thing to experience, to support. Sometimes it's harder to be the person in the support role. So Father, I ask that Ben would have exactly what he needs to just hold her and make her feel so safe. Father, I pray that he would really be led today, knowing exactly what to say, when to say it, questions to ask, Father, that she would feel so safe in his care. And Father, I just ask for Christina. God, I ask for her heart. Father, I pray that not a single moment would be wasted in terms of being able to turn lead into gold in the process of alchemy. God, I pray that she would really come to alchemize every single moment of her pain, every moment of her sorrow. Father, I ask for hope for Christina, that somehow you would really touch her heart and give her peace. And Father, I just pray for this beautiful couple, Ben and Christina, Father, that today you would just minister to them in such a beautiful, meaningful way, God, that they would feel carried through this appointment and know what to do. Father, I just lift up every person who's on this live show, and every person who watches after. Father, I thank you for each one of them. Father, I thank you for the questions that are asked that are meaningful and coming from a real vulnerable place. Father, I just thank you for this question around how can guys gain confidence? God, it's a hard world to exist in as a man today. And Father, I ask for a purpose and an identity and a call to be clear for every single one of us. Who are we? God, who did you make us to be? And where are we going? What did you give? Why are we here? What purpose have you given each one of us that no one else can fulfill except for us? It's so specific. It's so personal. And Father, I pray that we would find meaning in our pain, meaning in every experience we've ever had, and that we would be so clear about where we're going. And Father, I just ask for all of these wars that are taking place. It's like astounding. Father, I pray for the truth to come out. The truth about what's really going on. There's just a lot of weird stuff happening. And so, Father, I do pray for the truth. Father, I pray for peace at the end of the day. God, for lives to be spared. And God, we ask for mercy. Just what's going on. It's so crazy. And so, Father, we just ask for unity in conversations like this, Father, that we would remember what's more true than even this physical world, and that we would find hope and help in our time of need, in Jesus' name. All right, y'all. Nick, I was praying. He says, who is she talking to? Stephen, thank you for agreeing. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for joining. The lesson today is the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. So we have that power today. We do. We have the power to bring peace. And so thank you guys so much for joining me. I will be live today. It's a little bit different. We are going to be going live for playing trivia at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going live for an hour, and we're just going to hang out and have some fun. So I hope you'll join me, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I will see you later today for trivia, and I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day in the meantime. Bye, my friends.